Hello, welcome to the demo of Cloud Run. In this demo, I'll be using a simple application which we use for demonstration and testing reasons. It's called Arctiq Weather and Map. This application allows us to look up the weather in a specific city using an OpenWeather API, and then using a different API, it pulls up the aerial view of the city and uses it as the background. I've created a repository in the GitHub account called Cloud Run Demo, which contains all the files necessary for this application. It contains a standard Docker file, which most of us are familiar with, that builds the image. But more interesting is the cloud build file here. And the first two steps are quite basic. It builds the image, and then it pushes the image into the Google Cloud repository. The third step is the interesting one. It basically calls the Google Cloud Run and deploys the Cloud Run demo application using the image that we previously built in the region of US Central 1. US Central 1 right now is the only region available for this. I've also created a brand new project in Google Cloud called Cloud Run Demo, so we can make sure we start fresh here. So the very first thing I'd like to do is link up the repository in GitHub with the Google Cloud platform. And we do this by going to Cloud Build and Triggers. We will enable the API. And we will start creating a trigger. We can conveniently link it to GitHub. I'm already authenticated with GitHub in this browser, so we'll just step into it. And we will choose our Cloud Run Demo repository. I will ask it to match changes to the master branch. And instead of Docker file, we want to select Cloud Build Configuration file, which is Cloud Build YAML, and it's in the root directory of our project. And we can create the trigger. Now, if we run this code that I just showed you, the first two steps will run fine, but the third one will fail. And the reason for that is that the Cloud Build does not have the right to create projects in Google Cloud Run. To prepare for that, we want to go into the IAM section and found the account that's going to be responsible for Cloud Build. You can see it right here. And we want to edit it by adding two roles. First role is called Service Account User. We want to select this one. Second role is called Cloud Run Admin. There you go. And we want to save these. So now you see beside the account, you see two more roles. Now let's jump back into the Cloud Build Triggers. Find the trigger. We can do this two ways. We can go and actually make a change in the repository, or we can trigger the run right from here by just clicking Run Trigger. By the way, I just wanted to show you that what happened on the GitHub side of things is if you go to the project now under Settings, you can check out webhooks. So let's jump over to Cloud Run. And start using Cloud Run. So let's jump back here and take a look at our trigger, and let's click Run Trigger. And you can jump over to the history side of things, and you will see that our trigger started running the process. You can step into it to see what is happening here. So the build steps are the three steps that I showed you earlier in the file, but you can see them here now. And now we got check marks for all three processes, so everything went through. And let's go over to Cloud Run and see that our service has been built. There's a convenient URL created for the service, which will not work this time. We'll have a forbidden message. The reason for that is, first, we need to assign proper permissions to the service. This is done by going to the Show Info panel on the right and adding a member, all users, and giving that member a role of Cloud Run Invoker. Now that this has been applied, you will be able to see. Now the more interesting part is the continuous delivery part of this process. So let's see here. If we look up a city, the application works as expected, shows us the temperature. Now let's say we want to change this temperature readout to a yellow color instead of white. Let's jump back into our project, navigate over to our style sheets file, and let's edit the color for that section, which is large. And let's change it to yellow. Now by committing these changes to master, commit directly to master branch, it should invoke our build. So if we jump over to the cloud build and into the history, we will see that our build has been triggered. We can once again step into it and wait for it to go through. Now the build is finished, so let's go over to the Cloud Run. First of all, if you step inside the service itself, you will see that this is the second build of the service. It was performed just now and it's running 100% of the traffic. But let's make sure that is so, and we will go and take a look at the application. We'll once again look up the weather, and as expected, our digits are now showing up in yellow. So this is a continuous delivery. As soon as code is pushed into the master branch, a couple of minutes later, it goes live inside Cloud Run. Now, last thing I wanted to show you, which is actually quite useful, is manage custom domains. It's a great service. It makes it easy to see your application with a nicer domain name. So to connect it, let's step into the managed and add mapping. We will select the instance that we want to map. I already have a verified domain with Google. If you don't, just go through the verify new domain process. It's simple and basic. It uses either the DNS text tracker or CNAME mapping. It's the same like you use for anything else from analytics to G Suite. In my case, it's already done, so I'll just select the domain and create Cloud Run Demo. I misspelled cloud quite badly. Cloud Run Demo subdomain. We'll continue. Done. This, in my experience, this could take from a few seconds to a couple of minutes. So while this is building here, since I know what it's going to be mapped to, I'm just going to jump over to my Cloudflare, and I will create the CNAME record here, because I already have a few. It's basically always the same. It's GHS, googlehosted.com, and we will add that record. And now the process is finished. It took actually quite a while. It took, I think, over 5 minutes. It probably is a bit slow because it's generating the certificates, but now we should be able to see our demo running under our domain name with cloud-run-demo subdomain. And let's give it a try. And everything is working as expected. So this is basically it. So to recap, we are publishing our code in GitHub. we're creating a hook from Google Cloud into that repository, and it's being watched. So when we push in the master branch, that communicates with Google Cloud, which starts the build. It rebuilds the image, pushes it in repository, and then subsequently pushes it into Google Cloud Run. And this is basically the continuous delivery. Thank you for stopping by and watching the demo. Hope to see you again. Bye for now.